What's up, guys? My name is Justin, and in this video today we're going to talk about the Big Agnes Tiger Wall UL2 tent. And this is one of my favorite tents on the market today. There's a lot of things to like about this particular tent. It's a two-person tent. It's semi-freestanding, meaning half of it you don't need stakes necessarily to set it up, and then on the other half you need at least two to support the inner body of the tent. And so one of the some of the specs for this tent is that it's a 15 denier ripstop nylon fabric coated with polyurethane, and a lot of people think that's a little thin for a tent, and they would be right. However, in my experience, I've had this on about 5 trips. It's surprisingly durable, and you don't have to be as gentle with it as you may think. I still try to take care of it. You know, it's an expensive tent, but I'm not always in fear that there's going to be this big tear or anything like that. So, and the reason it's 15 denier is, of course, to keep the weight down. The overall weight for this tent is 2 pounds 8 ounces, and so that's a very competitive weight regarding other tents that are similar on the market. And yeah, so it's 2 pounds 8 ounces in weight, and it has 2 vestibules, which are nice for 2 people, and 2 doors. So if you do have 2 people in this particular tent, there's going to be 2 exits, and so if someone has to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, you're not climbing over somebody. So for it being a lightweight tent, that's a nice little feature to have. Also, there's plenty of storage inside. There's a big pocket up front here, 2 side pockets in the back, and then there's there's a pocket up here too. So plenty of storage to keep your gear off the ground, so you have a lot of room to utilize in there. It has a tapered floor here, and that again to reduce the overall weight of this tent. Now that does take away from some of the interior room. So it is a little bit snug for 2 adults. Now if you would have a dog, like I bring sometimes, or if you have you bring one of your kids and stuff, there's plenty of room for that. But 2 adults, it might be a little snug for you. The one thing I do like about this tent is there's a lot of mesh, which allows for a lot of airflow in this tent. The one downside that I do not like about this tent is up top here, there is no vent for condensation. So I'm not sure why Big Agnes didn't include that. My guess is to keep the weight down. But I mean, how much weight are we really talking by just having a little vent on the top? So I wish they would have included that, but hey, that's nitpicking. Another thing is, because it's silk nylon, we all know silk nylon, when it gets wet, tends to sag a little bit. And because the nature of it being a semi-freestanding tent, there's no pole over here, it can sag and touch the mesh inside, causing some of the condensation to drip. And so I've experienced that a little bit in a rainstorm, but it's very mild. It's one of the things that I'm willing to sacrifice in order to have a lower weight in my overall tent. So not a deal breaker in my opinion, but something to consider if you're purchasing this tent. If you don't want that, to deal with that, I recommend the copper spur, the Big Agnes copper spur tent. That is a freestanding tent, and you won't have to deal with so much of that issue with the fly touching the inner mesh. Yeah, so overall I really like this tent. It fits my needs. Now if you were, let's say, a beginner backpacker, this could be a little pricey for you. I probably wouldn't recommend it because it costs, as of now, $450. So that's an expensive tent. There's definitely more expensive tents than this one. However, if you're a beginner and you're just starting, not sure if you want to stick with backpacking, I would recommend one of the REI co-op tents. I think it's called the Passage 2 or something like that. It's only like 250 bucks. So you're not like breaking the bank and you're still going to get a quality tent. But if you're definitely sure that you're into backpacking and you want something that's quality, still lightweight, and just very dependable in various weather conditions, I definitely recommend this tent. That reminds me of weather conditions. So it's very waterproof. I had this in a storm already. Kept me completely dry except for a little bit of condensation. In wind, like light wind, this is fine. Now, since it is semi-freestanding, that's the one downfall is in high winds. This front end, since it's only one pole coming down here, it can move a little bit on you and start flexing in the wind and stuff. That's even if you tie it down with guy lines and stuff. So this is not something that you would want to have on top of a summit in high winds and stuff, but it's not designed for that anyway. So yeah, wind, not the greatest wind resistance. However, if it's just a good 20 mile per hour wind, you're going to be fine. So yeah, I believe that's it. Highly recommend the Big Agnes Tiger Wall UL2. If you're interested in it, click the link below.